Hello everyone, it's Federico and today I want to discuss with you punctures and what happened of course when you have a puncture. This is my own experience and what I found out then something that wasn't even covered in most of the videos I saw online. So I got my road bike again in January last year. I started riding, was really happy, and I was of course dreading the moment of having my first puncture, my first flat. Before that I tried to get prepared, so I saw online what you need to carry with you and I got myself a pump. So this was my first one. Is a specialized Presta pump, also got the attachment to fit on the frame, so at the beginning I had it on the frame. This is quite a nice well-made pump, so I thought, well, if something happens this will get me going back up. And I had my saddlebag. So first mistake, I had only one spare tube at that time and I had this pump with me. So one day happened, of course, I was trying to get out to Richmond Park, so I was everything, new kit, all prepared, all eager, said look, today is the day for my personal bests. 5 minutes on the road, big pothole, was hidden in a shade, so I was riding, bang, I heard this big loud bang and the tyre burst and of course I was stranded on the side of the road. So I said to myself, well, this is the occasion to put everything in practice. So started, getting the wheel out, getting all the stuff out of my saddlebag, and very important, you have gloves, you have your multi-tool, and you do have your tie levers, because of course the first hurdle is to get the tie out. So as you know, get the old tube out, making sure that there's no debris inside the tube, and getting the new one in. So pretty basic, you would say. These are my replacement tube in a plastic bag just for protection. Now I carry two and I explain why. Because of course at that time I put the replacement tube on. After a while I managed to put the tie on. I went to try to pump up this one and I found that in practice this was extremely inefficient, I would say. So by the design you can't grab the pump here because of course it will crunch your hand, so you do have to hold it with your thumb like that and then pump, and I don't feel that position quite efficient. But that was not the only reason why I could not pump up the tie back up again. I found out later that when I replaced the tube, I actually pinched the tube in the tire, so I damaged the replacement tube and again I was stranded. So I had to walk back home, and you can imagine, it's a bit of a walk of shame. All the cars that are laughing inside the mind at you, all the other cyclists are whizzing past, and you actually have to walk with your cycling shoes all the way back home. So very shameful experience. Anyway, it was a learning curve. So first rule, when you put, as you know, the tube in, they say to you, yeah, pump it up to give it a bit of a shape. I did it, but not enough. So you have to get it quite round to make sure that it fits inside properly. Then maybe you can deflate when you are sure that everything is back in. So I think I really only little inflate the tube when I put it back on, so it was still a bit flat, and for sure it got pinched somewhere. And secondly, you need to make sure that you can properly use your pump. So I said to myself, this is not really the way forward, and I replaced this one. So I took it off the frame and I replaced that pump with a Lezyne Pocket Drive. So this is really marvelous. It's so small, so efficient, and it works on a different concept. So you have a detachable joining part here, the tube that gets into the pump, and connects directly to the valve. So when you actually pump up, this one is connected to the valve, and you can use both hands to clearly push it quite hard, and you can get a good decent pressure for you to get going. So I said to myself, now I got 2 tubes, so if something happens I got a spare one and a new pump in a jersey pocket, so I think, fingers crossed, sometimes if it happens again I'll be more prepared. Second time that happened, I was on a nice ride on the Surrey Hills on my own, about 60 kilometers away from home, and I hit the rock, so I slashed the tyre and the tube. So luckily the tyre was not completely trashed, eventually I had to replace it, but it could be enough to get me back home. And I started to replace the tube. So again, back on the tyre lever, get the tyre out, making sure that the replacement tube was getting in properly, not to pinch the tube again. And eventually I put the tyre back on. Everything was in place. Last bit was to inflate the new tube. So I went in with my new pump, and I was really happy that I could get going, and everything was working properly. The tyre was getting pumped up, and I was almost ready to ride away. And I took the pump out, and this happened. So exactly like that, the core of the valve came out, all the air out of the tube, the tyre flat again. So I was quite surprised. I said, well, I didn't know that Continental valves had a removable core. And on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere, it is not exactly the place where you want to learn that Continental have removable core. So I took it out of the pump, put it back on the Presta, and it's not easy really without any tools to screw it back in. So I tried a couple of times, and every time it was coming out again, all the air out, and I was getting really bit annoyed. So I did a few research, and I was on the internet, a couple of forums, and the guy said, well, it's not the pump's fault, it's your fault. You should have checked with the pliers that the cores were actually tightly done. And said, well, yes, but I'm in the middle of nowhere. I wanted to reply, but And luckily, one of the contributors said, well, it happened to me, and the only way I could get it done is by putting some loop from the chain onto the valve, so when you unscrew the pump, it will not get the core out as well. Finally worked, so I could pump my tyre out and ride back home. And of course it was quite a good lesson learned. So moving forward, now I know that there's a tool that you can carry with you that can make sure that the core is tightened. You can make sure that all your spare valves are actually quietly done, nicely done. You can buy different tubes. Now they say Specialized come with non-removable core, but actually I found out that it does come out as well, so it's not entirely done. Decathlon, they do sell basic valves that don't have a removable core, or again, you can carry the tool, or you can use your multi-tool, I later find out, especially where the chain tool is, to use it as a rudimental plier to do your core and get going. So this was quite good thing to learn. Now I had a few other punctures that finally, I managed to sort it out properly without any problems. So this was my experience so far. Hopefully it's useful for you guys. Maybe most of you already knew that, the core trick and how to remove, but I wanted to share this experience. So if I have someone, I'll be more than happy. If you like the video, please make sure that you give us a like. Thank you very much. And any comment, I'll be more than happy to answer. Thanks again for watching.